Hi all, this is Sean here. This is a quick video to go through the revised template I've created for nutrition planning. So I'll quickly just go through the changes I've made so that those are using the existing one can just move over to the one that I've created with the changes being made. I'm just going to do a quick share screen just to show you what exactly I have done, just so that you can start using this template and use that a lot more effectively. But essentially, this template has been updated to essentially allow you to add products onto a separate tab over here. And that will then automatically pull through into the sections over here and calculate the nutrition. On the original template I created, I didn't have a second tab. I had to leave these spaces completely open for you to complete manually. So you would insert the information. You would then have a drop down to choose over here. You would then be able to choose the serving sizes, and then you basically, or quantity rather, and then basically you had to manually complete this. The problem is that if you chose 2, it would not update this automatically and multiply it by 2 based on the serving size, etc., which you would have put in manually. So in other words, you would have had to have calculated it beforehand and inserted the figures. So what I thought I would do is I would make life easy for you, and I would then just say, for example, put a section here where you can basically put in whatever amounts. I'm just going to keep it the same across the board, just so you can see how it pulls through into the other section. So if you add a product here and you go and select one, now just note it's going to automatically update the totals. And then, of course, obviously, when you allocate it to a discipline, it'll then pull through into this section over here. So there's 2 in the bike. If we go and change it to 1, changes to 1. So I thought that would be a useful feature that I could obviously now roll out to everyone that's looking to use this template. For those who have not used this template, I will quickly just go through what this template is all about. If you are using this template already, then you don't have to watch this video to the end, but if you would like to anyway, you're welcome to. But essentially, this template has been designed to take consideration as much information as possible so that you can obviously accurately plan for training in terms of nutrition on the swim, bike, or run, so that you have adequate amount of product with you when you are obviously on race day, so that you can effectively just have a much better experience compared to trying to guesstimate the amount of nutrition you need to have. You have a bit of a more accurate approach, if I can call it that. So in this case, I'm just going to work on a person that weighs, it's 80, so it's 176.4. If you're from the United States and you'd like to put in the weight, it's 106.4. It'll calculate it into kilograms, but whatever, doesn't really matter. If you say 80 kilograms, that'll tell you if you weigh 80 kilograms, you can eat about 96 grams of carbs per hour. And depending on the event, so I've just used a triathlon as an example: 15-minute swim, 6.5-hour bike, and a 4-hour run, which equates to 10 hours and of course 80 minutes. But what that does at the bottom is it's going to then do a separate calculation and tell you that it's 11 hours 20, because obviously you're kind of 80 minutes, it has to be an hour 20 there, which gets added on. So what it basically does is it says, okay, well, if I've got 11 hours 20, you basically need to have, and let's say you work on the 96 grams of carbs. The 96 grams of carbs, you need about 8,088 grams of carbs for this event, right? Which means that you just need to choose products that will have a total, a cumulative carb total of 1,088. Sodium, I've just put a sort of a guide. So a person should target 1,000 milligrams per hour and 1,500 if it's in humid or hot conditions. If you're racing in summer, as an example, obviously you're going to have a different approach to your sodium intake. That's quite important because if you don't have sufficient sodium or electrolytes, you will cramp on the bike and run, and that will unfortunately essentially end the race, if I can call it that, if you don't have the correct strategy. Because once you start cramping and getting fatigue, you can't really recover from that because your body has depleted all its electrolytes. So that's quite important when you're selecting the products. And then, of course, everything else here, I've had this originally. So I'm just going to say it's 200, I'm going to say 120 calories, which means you need about 1,330. It could obviously be a lot higher than that because if you're going to be doing an event that is 11 hours, 20 minutes, you're most likely going to be burning through a lot more calories than 1,360. Obviously, everyone is different. The more you weigh, so let's say you weigh at 85, it'll tell you need 102 grams, which means you need to adjust. So it just gives you a guideline. Obviously, everyone is different. Some people might need less carbs, some might need more carbs, but it's just a real general rule of thumb based on weight. And of course, as I said, you can adjust this manually. And then I put in magnesium for cramping. That's for basically to prevent you from having any muscle discomfort along any of these disciplines and resulting in you having to, unfortunately, reduce your speed or power because of the cramping taking place in your quads or in your calves. That's where the magnesium comes in. And the caffeine gives you that bit of boost. Obviously, caffeine is intended to give you a sort of an additional amount of energy. A lot of people use it for pre-workouts. It is important to note that it's not immediate. That's where the carbs come in, but it's something that gradually can give you that extra energy through the caffeine, especially if it's in high quantities. But you also will have a dip afterwards. So it really depends on when you're planning to take it, especially, as I said, on a 11-hour, 20-minute race. It is quite crucial that you at least know when, probably on the run. So the run will probably give you that energy you need, especially if it's going to be a 4-hour marathon after having really done a bike and swim. So the idea behind this really simply is you can choose between the different types of nutrition products. In this case, it's bars, chews, drink, electrolytes, endurance, gels, and sodium. There's a built-in database that has basically as many products that I could essentially find under each category. So you'll find under chews, there's all the different brands. I've even included South African brands for those who are in South Africa, but there's the common ones that one would see on the IRONMAN circuit. For example, you've got Hammer Nutrition. You've got under the gels, just get there quickly. There's the Mortine, there's Power Bar. The gels are probably the most common one that you would find because gels can be used on the bike and run because it's, sort of a mixture of carbs and also in some cases caffeine, as you can see over here. Here's the Mortine. I'm just going to choose both of them just to show you what the difference really is. Let's say you took it on the run on both examples and you took, let's say, 1 serving each. The one has 100 milligrams of caffeine, the other doesn't. Everything else is exactly the same. And then maybe you just increase the dosage for this particular one because you're going to get 200. And of course, obviously, the idea is this is per hour, so it's 227 in total, so it's 200 there. So you might say, well, I'll take 3. Now make my total for the for the race. And of course, when you pull through your totals, you'll see you've got a surplus here of 8 per hour, which means you've got provisions there. Basically, what you want to do is you want to sort of decide what to take on each discipline, and it'll then effectively pull through into each discipline over here. It'll total over here so that you have an idea. Okay, well, if I'm going to do my event and I need 976 grams, 976 calories per hour, sodium 778, carbs is 234 grams, protein, etc. And you choose whatever products you have. It'll tell you whether you've got a surplus or deficit in total, and then it's going to break it down per discipline. So you can see Where do I need the nutrition the most? Obviously on the bike is a much longer leg, being 6 hours. So you might want to make more provisions on the bike, and you might say, okay, well, I'm going to put in I'm going to put in there's a salt tab there. There's precision nitration. I'm going to put in, let's say for the bike, the serving, I'm going to take 2 sachets. And you want to sort of build up a profile so that when you start planning for the race, you firstly know how many servings in total you're going to need, and then break it down. So you can put nutrition into each of your triathlon bags. You can put it into your, obviously with the start, you might take a chew or even a fluid before the swim, because believe it or not, you are going to burn calories on the swim. When you get onto the bike, you're going to have potentially gels, tabs, chews, fluids. You're going to try and put everything on the bike as you can. And on the run, you're most likely going to have gels with you. And then you're going to take nutrition in the form of aid stations if you go through the aid stations. And the nice thing is that if these products here that also are linked to, let's say for South Africa, you've got Biogen as the official sponsor for the event on nutrition. There's Mortein for IRONMAN, and there's Hammer Nutrition for challenge events, challenge triathlon. So what that basically means is you can take some products, test them before race day, get an idea which ones work for you, and then use those products on race day because you've tested and used them already. So you know your body's going to absorb the nutrition. You're not going to get a runny stomach. You're not going to get cramping, etc. So again, this template is quite useful in that regard. And you can then plan your nutrition almost to the T based on information here. Now, just know this is all on an existing database. As you can see over here, each section has brands that you may or may not have heard of. There's not many chews available, if I'm honest, because it takes up a lot of space. So you have to chew it. So it's a lot more work to get the nutrition in instead of taking a fluid or just a gel. There's Red Bull here, there's coffee, there's Gatorade, but essentially what one can do is one can insert their own information if they want to. So let's say on the drink, a person's got their own concoction of a drink. You can name whatever you want. Let's say it's 500 millimeters of fluid. Let's say you've put a concoction of stuff in there, and the calories is, again, you can put whatever you want in here. So let's say it's 350 calories. The sodium is 150. Carbs is 9 to 6. Protein could be 0. You might have put protein in there. In most cases, you will have a breakdown of what the carbs are, and it'll tell you what a percentage or portion of that is sugar. You can leave it blank if you want to. Potassium generally is left blank. No calcium in there. Magnesium, there might be 5, and then caffeine, there might be 20. I don't know. Again, you can, whatever product you decide to use, and then it'll pull through over here. All you would then do is choose the serving, you'll allocate it to the discipline, and it'll pull through all the information that you have inserted. And of course, you can obviously update it. So there's 9 fields here and 6 fields here that you can insert your own, from the database and from your own product line over here. So I've tried to accommodate as much as possible. Obviously, there's going to be brands that may not be here, or products that you might use. A pure example would be a banana on the bike, right? That's going to be technically you can use it as a chew, I guess. You can put a banana in here. You'll just go to the chew section, and you would then add a banana. Now, I'm not a nutritionist, unfortunately. You might just say it's a 20-gram size. Calories, I'm not sure what it is, but the potassium there could be 30, right? You might get a bit of calories from that. You can check the banana, what source of banana it is, and then you might put in there on the bike. You might have 3 servings throughout the event. So you've got 90 milligrams of potassium. No, you haven't actually allocated a potassium here, but you could if you wanted to. Let's say your potassium was 90, and now you go over here and you see your potassium now is spot on. You just have to break it down per hour. So yeah, so basically this template can be used to tweak, can be used to update on your own, can be used in combination of products that are already there. And the nice thing also is it doesn't have to just be for triathlon. If you've got a bike event and you want to do, let's say, a 90-kilometer bike without doing swim and run, you can just adjust this template and say, well, I'm going to do the 90, I'm planning to do it in 2 hours 30. And you take off the swim and you take off the bike, the run. So what I'll then do, obviously, is going to not have any totals over here. It'll have a total over there. And then all you would really need to do then is just, in this case, I'm just going to hypothetically go and change this all to the bike, so that you can see that it's not going to pull through for the other disciplines. So again, you can use this for running, you can use this for trail running, you can use this for whatever you want. I haven't actually allocated anything over here, so I'm just going to put it on the bike. It'll only pull through on the database once you've allocated a serving, because it has to total it through a VLOOKUP. Whereas the other ones, it really pulls through because it's just I've just linked it to the cells. So there's no VLOOKUP over there. And then you'll see on the bike, there's actually 3 under the run. I need to change, just need to see what that is. So anything I might have to do is just double check and see. Sorry, it's over here. And then not everything is allocated to the bike. So obviously, if in this case, you've really overcompensated for a 2 hour 30 bike event, you've got a surplus of 538 in calories. So you need to drop that a bit. Surplus. So the point is, I would rather start the surplus like this and then work backwards and say, okay, well, maybe if I delete some products, let's say I'm going to drop this one, how will that impact everything? Okay, I've still got a surplus there, so I've now removed 2 sachets of the Mortine, and then you can sort of start tweaking your nutrition. Point being is that starting with if 18 has been too much, you can work backwards in terms of your servings, maybe get it down to 14, 13, and have the right nutrition on hand so that you can do this bike event in 2 hours and 30 minutes with knowing that you are going to have sufficient nutrition in the form of fluids, gels, whatever the case is, on hand, so that you don't go into cramping, you don't fatigue, you don't run out of electrolytes, and that 2 hours 30, ends up being 3 hours 15, because your body just didn't have the nutrition to get you there. Because obviously you're going to be pushing into very high zones, probably zone 4, zone 5 on the bike if it's a race, TT race. So yeah, anyway, hope this template's can add value over here in terms of your planning. And yeah, I do hope that those who are planning for a race can sort of better understand how nutrition plays a part in not only triathlon, but in other sports as well. I built this a number of years ago when I was training for my triathlon races. I didn't know much about triathlon apart from, my coach telling me, take your weight and you work out how many grams per hour of carbs. But the truth is, I was going into training with trying different products and, using Powerade as a sort of a nutrition source on the bike. And, you have to use different concoctions of mixtures to get it right. But then there are products out there like Mortine, for example, or Power Bar, which are really good, which have all that information for you, that have all the nutrition they're designed for that. So like we've got IsoActive. This one is really good. This one's got, I'm going to show you what I mean. This product has got a lot inside of it already. Fantastic. For 32 grams of servings, you're getting all of this. So it's really good to essentially start just planning it out. And of course, you can taste, as I said, different products. You can taste different types of products, whether it be the fluids or the solids or the gels, and then you can just tweak your nutrition. And if you've got enough time to do that, then when it comes to race day, you've got the exact strategy which works for you, and that will then hopefully correlate into achieving your race times comfortably, knowing that you can push into the high zones on the bike, as an example, and you've got the nutrition to replenish whatever sweat is lost, whatever fatigue you're going to recur, you've got that nutrition or calories that are burnt. Okay, thanks very much for taking the time. This video is long, I know, but it's really just important to just understand how this works. A lot of people have reached out to me in the past and asked me questions about how to insert things. This is how you do it. Follow these steps over here to use this calculator in terms of the preloaded database, and follow the steps over here if you want to insert your own products. Very, very straightforward. Again, you could just remove these, add them, change them. It'll pull through automatically into the section over here. You just need to adjust the serving size and it'll then obviously calculate it for you. Okay, thanks very much for your time. Hope you guys have a great day and also have productive training. And also lastly, have a great rest day. I hope you have a very positive experience, especially if you are doing your first Ironman as an example, always a very special experience. And if you do know me and on the race courses, look to see you there. Thanks very much. Bye.